Welcome to the COSB 360 Conversations podcast, the platform for county influencers. This is a new platform being launched by County HR's Organizational and Talent Development Division to engage with our leaders and keep our workforce informed. This is also one way that we can share the efforts of departmental staff and what it takes from a leadership perspective to keep the wheels turning in our organization. This podcast is being co-hosted by June Mighty and Dr. Leonie Mattison.
Spencer and Shana, thank you for joining us on the COSB 360 podcast, which we probably should name videocast so that everybody knows what we're really doing here. So glad to have you. Thank you for joining Leonie and I this morning. We typically have one guest at a time. So this is our first time actually having two people. But as Leonie told before, this is more like a dialogue. And I think there's really great synergy between the two of you. So I think it's going to be a really great experience. But before we get started, I know that both of you have picked up some new responsibilities since LCP. So I want you to just tell us a little bit about what you're doing now before we actually going into our discussion.
So before they actually go into the discussion, June, it will be remiss of us not to explain to our listening audience, when we talk about LCP, June, is that chicken? Is that pork? What is LCP?
Oh,
you got to give them a little bit of it.
It's like anything else, right? You become so accustomed to an acronym that you know what you're talking about. They know what I'm talking about, but I forgot. So thank you. So LCP, for our listening audience, LCP stands for the Leadership Certificate Program, which is a leadership series, a leadership program that we piloted last year when we started with 12 cohorts. And Shana and Spencer were part of that cohort. And so we thought it would just be really great as the county is really developing its leadership programs. And many of you have already heard about our leadership series that not only include LCP, but Becoming a Supervisor program, the Supervisor Boot Camp, Management Development, LCP, and also our legacy programs and others that we are still working on. So it's part of that umbrella of services that we are providing. So thank you, Leonie, for reminding me about that. Now, let's go to Shana. Shana Burns, you work in behavioral wellness. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the responsibilities that you are embracing now.
So nice to be here today. Thank you both, Leonie and June, for inviting Spencer and I to talk about our experience with LCP Leadership Certificate Program. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm the forensics manager countywide for the Department of Behavioral Wellness. I've been with the department since December of 2017. And formerly, when I was part of the LCP program, I was overseeing the outpatient mental health clinics for children and adults in Santa Maria as the regional manager for the department. And then at the end of last year, I was transitioned into a different manager position overseeing the programs that serve youth and adults that are criminal justice involved. And so during the time and working or being a part of the cohort with LCP, Spencer and I got to know one another, although that was prior to the transition into the current role that I am subsuming, in which we have much more overlap in our work. So that's the general summary.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. And Spencer, you are up next.
Thank you. I too want to thank you both for letting us have this opportunity. Shane and I, as you mentioned, we've bonded, we've grown together, along with our other 10 people who are in this journey with us. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. For me personally, I've been with the county for 21 years. All of those 21 years are with the Santa Barbara County Probation Department. So my current assignment is probation manager in the adult division. So we have multiple divisions, but I oversee currently Lompoc, Santa Barbara, and Santa Maria. There are 3 adult managers. However, we've assumed a couple of vacancies due to retirements. One was in January, one was in March. So right around the time when we were, wrapping this program up, I was getting a lot more duties, a lot more assignments. So I was able to kind of utilize the stress management, a lot of the stuff that we talked about in the program to guide me through the last 7 months of being the solo probation manager over the adult division.
Hats off to you, my friend. Hats off to you. You
I have to add, there was a manager announced on Friday. He will be starting with us November 16th. So there's help on the way. So I'm super excited. And so yeah.
Great.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Yes.
For sharing. So thank you guys for sharing. You both have expanded your roles in so many ways. And so I'm going to just sort of go ahead and jump in because, like, as Leonie said, we sort of feed off each other and we jump in and ask a variety of questions. So be comfortable and let's just go with it. So the first question that I have for you is this, and I had to print out all my questions again. So tell us how the LCP has, the Leadership Certificate Program, has influenced your leadership journey through the COVID-19 pandemic and all the social unrest and everything that is happening. How has that experience helped you in this journey? And either one of you can speak. It's up to you.
I can go first. So part of the LCP journey, obviously, we were tasked with a lot of variety of different things. So having a professional coach, which was the first time I've ever experienced that, being assigned a mentor with the program, not in my department, so learning from somebody outside. I had the fortunate, I was assigned her name was Luce from the Santa Barbara City College, so an outside perspective on leadership and on a private, more of a private, not county related leadership mentor. Also, we did some impromptu board of supervisors, presentations, board letters. You guys threw curveballs at us left and right. We were told the program was going to be 6 months long, and 8 months later, we were still, working on the reading books and getting new assignments. And I think just, being part of the team, we over those 8 months, we really bonded. I didn't think that we would ever go to a place where we would be in a leadership retreat, out in the middle of Lake Kachuma, having campfires and talking about leadership and learning to grow with these people. So for me, all of that kind of that experience, for me, I'm an adult learner. I'm a lifelong learner, and you guys have given us the opportunity to continue that learning in a very controlled environment with leaders who have the same desires and goals and aspirations that I do, to continue to learn, to continue to lead. One of the things that I found that I look at quite frequently, and I look to my left because on my desk I have the glass plaque that we got, and each one of us selected a word. And throughout that entire process, that word became something that resonated with each of us, but we also got to kind of hear what others had to say. For me, it was inspiration. But then I looked this morning, I'm like, what were some of the other words? And I saw some that were resiliency. And I think when you talk about COVID-19, that word couldn't be, further from what we had to experience. So innovate. How do we get through COVID-19? How do we be resilient? How do we inspire people to move on and get through this? Right now, I really wish I could be in a meeting with you guys in person, seeing your faces and expressions in person. So I think this whole journey kind of led us up to get through challenges and face challenges head on, look at technology, innovate, and really just look at how we can be better leaders, how we can continue to learn. And so the learning doesn't stop. After 21 years, I've taken the Supervisor Leadership Academy, Manager Core Training, but this is a great opportunity for us locally to have, I love the Employees University. I always enjoy the classes there. So to be able to do this with 11 other people was just a super experience for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Spencer, for elaborating on that. Shana, your thoughts?
So my thoughts are really, I echo everything that you shared, Spencer. It was for me, a really powerful experience. It was a very long-term period of time in which to partner with the other 11 leaders that had been selected. It was a really special, separate from work opportunity, yet, we were all still in our roles, yet really able to show up as we are in other arenas of our lives. and share quite a bit of our own personal life experience from the past, as well as our current life experience in being a leader and the growth, the development process and the change that's required, and the resiliency and the vulnerability too, the ability to acknowledge, our fears, our discomfort, our weaknesses, and to really come together and be able to share some of those growth edges so that we could bounce ideas off of each other and hear about the challenges our colleagues face in their role as managers or supervisors, and to just better understand some of the other departments and the operations of those departments and the leadership roles in separate sectors of the county of Santa Barbara, and how we can intersect and collaborate in ways that we may not have envisioned, because easily we know silos form where there is not the opportunity to meet other leaders other than our own colleagues who we're working with within our own department. So, I could go on and on. There was a plethora of opportunity and experiences, I think, that we had that really have propelled us in a way to be able to work in a more unified fashion across the county. So more to say on that, but that's what comes to mind offhand.
I'm getting teared up, but I can't because I got my lashes on. I can't allow to. Oh, I can't.
If you're getting teared up, that means you want to say something. What you want to say?
I'm getting very choked up because I believe what I'm hearing from both Spencer and Shana is, one, the togetherness. We build community. I think the program really helped to ignite the community of, not only leaders within the organization, but Spencer talked about the external coach that he had and the mentor who was a community member, and we strategically did that, making sure that we had our community members come in and see what it's like from the inside, hear your stories, interact with you, right? So then they can gain a better understanding about the organization and its leadership. So it really warms my heart to hear you guys affirm that.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Leonie. I totally agree. And even as I'm listening to your stories and your feedback, their memories are coming back to me. So they're flooding back, because I remember I tell Leonie all the time, even though I don't go into detail, because we had created this safe space around some of our conversations. So, you can't elaborate. But one of the things, remember when Director Vaughn did her session with us, that was one of the most powerful and most transformative experiences because of the way she facilitated it, right? And just the stories that you guys shared. And I was just like, wow, I felt like I was I felt like I was part of something so much bigger than myself. That's what that session and the way that she discussed it, and everything that you guys shared, your openness, your transparency, the vulnerability, and the connection with each other was real. And I sometimes I sit down, you have some days that are sort of challenging, right? So like Spencer may look over at the acrylic plaque, which I do as well, but sometimes I'll think about different stories and I'll just smile and just, keep on pushing. So it's good that you guys talk about that. But I'm going to segue using that because Shana, you had talked about the ability to collaborate. And this was one of the reasons why I wanted to invite the both of you, because you had shared at one of our, just monthly engagement session about the opportunity to collaborate. So tell me a little bit about that. Tell the county audience about whatever you can about that ability to collaborate. And again, how the participation within the program helped to sort of break down some of those silos, as you just said. I think you said it so eloquently, so that you guys could connect and do what you need to do as it related in the COVID-19 environment. So share a little bit of that with us.
I guess first off, I would say that, as mentioned, in being new to my my transferred role into the forensics manager position and not knowing the different partners in the community, I already knew Spencer from that 8-month period of, really quite a bit of time spent, exploring our leadership journeys and, the different facets of our departments and our roles and, all kinds of issues and learning opportunities related to being in leadership positions. That when I came in and, even before COVID, I knew who I could call, and I was able to reach out to you, Spencer, at times when if I didn't have that relationship, I mean, I think we all can agree that to me, relationships are everything in being able to accomplish, really to essentially be able to serve our shared clients and community members. There really needs to be a kind of interagency, cross-sector collaboration focus for us to be successful. We cannot do it alone. So to be able to contact you, Spencer, to learn more about who I might need to contact about something that was related to another aspect of the work that we do, was really just comforting and helpful. And then when COVID arose and we were tasked with working together to transition inmates from the jail to prevent spread. We had to work really quickly, and there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and we had to just really dial it down around, who was involved and how best to support that process and serve those individuals that were needing, community-based resources due to their release. So I think we were able to do that in a way that would have been different had we not had the relationship that we do.
Mm-hmm. Spencer, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the key word that comes to my mind is networking. When we had the first day we were in the program, we're kind of looking around and you saw general services. I said, well, I don't do a whole lot with them. And then I saw someone from weights and measures, and I'm like, oh, we don't do a whole lot with them. Then I saw the public defender's office. I'm like, work daily with them. So, Be Well, work daily with them. So we kind of went through and you kind of looking to see who was in the group. And so one of the projects I was working on at the time had to do with naloxone, which is also known as Narcan. It's, a lot of counties, a lot of first responders are using this to revive people from the opioid crisis. And so one of my projects is bringing the Narcan into the probation department to supply to our officers. And so it's a very tedious process. And the county has a tight control on who gets to carry naloxone, who can access naloxone, who can provide it to people who have overdosed. And so I was sitting in the class and I looked to my left and the guy from public health. I don't know if we're allowed to use names. Are we allowed to talk about names here, or should we just keep it?
Yeah, no, you can. Yeah, they're your colleagues.
So I turned to my left and there's this man named Nick, and he's from public health. And I said, hey, Nick, I'm working on this project. It's one of my things that I have to get done. I'm really trying to find out who I can go to help me along in this process. He goes, well, what are you trying to do? I said, I'm trying to get naloxone. He goes, that would be me. So he's like, next time you come in, bring the policy, we'll talk about it. And right there, I was like, this weight had lifted off of my shoulders.
Oh,
and this connection was made for the next, 6 to 8 months. I was able to talk to Nick about public health concerns, learn a lot about him, learn a lot about how he interacts with, the different departments. And so each individual experience, I was at the gym over the weekend and I hear my name being called, and it's Katie. And Katie's saying, hey, how you doing? And she's taking a yoga class. And you guys know she was very into health and very into spirituality and very into making sure that we took breaks and ate properly. And so here's this person that I didn't know before. She went from, first 5 now on to our human resources department. So kind of out of our wheelhouse into our wheelhouse, now I see emails coming from her and she was given an opportunity. And I remember, we were talking about giving presentations and, not everyone wants to get up in front of the class. And you guys would be like, okay, you're going to get up in front of the class. 2 minutes, go. And people were like, what do we talk about? And so you challenged us, but we were in such a safe spot that we were able to be vulnerable. We were able to share. I was able to network with all of those. And as Shana points out, She was not, I was dealing with, when we were going to our local meetings for collaborative courts and everything else, she wasn't involved. It was her previous, the person there. And when she got appointed, I was like, how perfect is that? We've established a relationship. We've already had numerous conversations about, the directions of our programs. And so it's just everything that kind of fell into place, with the CEO's office, having a representative there, learning more about that, but learning more about the budget. Just each piece of it brought to me, a piece that I really learned and I was really able to grow and mature. And I think even my boss had told me, I've seen a lot of maturation over the last year and a half. And a lot of it had to do with just having to learn more about the other regions and taking on more responsibility. But it also had to do with networking and kind of seeing how other people are dealing with the stress, other people are dealing with leadership. And so, those relationships are what I hold near and dear to me. And June, for you guys, June and Leonie, we had recently we were talking about one of my goals is for the department is change management or change leadership. And so I brought that up to you and you had provided instantly, you're like, oh, how about the ADKAR model? You had sent me materials, you had sent me videos. And that was another connection that I didn't know where to go, but you provided that guidance and you provided that push. So it's those things that I really, you guys really helped me out. I continue to meet with you guys, continue to talk and to network. So I can't say enough about just the relationship I have with Shana and you guys and everyone else that were in the program.
Wow, thank you. Now I'm getting a little sentimental here.
Hold it together, June. You got this, girl. Hold it together. You got this.
Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it, all right, because I'm going to pitch it to you. No, guys, that was so, you provide such great examples, right, of what this meant and how it applies. You know what? And, I got to say, and I'm going to pitch it to Leonie after this. One of the things for me, one of the goals that I had personally for myself when we were going through this program, constantly in my mind, every time I interacted with you guys and when I would stand up, it's always, I don't know if you remember, I kept using the word synergy. Yes. That was my goal, synergy, this connection with each other and also the preparation. Did I know that nobody knew that COVID-19 would hit, but I just knew from everything that Leonie and I had been researching and looking at, we knew that there would be something coming as it relates to public sector that we need to prepare leaders for, even though it wasn't happening at the moment. And sometimes, and Leonie, I don't know if that makes sense, but I know we've talked about things like that. So I would constantly have that in my mind as well. This is a preparation. It may not make sense now. It's a pain in the neck. You're probably sick of me, but we got to be ready for this and to hear how you guys have used the skills in the relationship and filling the gaps and just working together is absolutely just really awesome and for me inspiring. So thank you.
I mean, you're both clearly prophetic. I mean, really, it was a premonition in a way, because I think when I hear the word synergy and just, in talking about collaboration and the relationships we've been able to establish, that being Spencer and I and Essie Ballard, must give a mention of her, our public defender on the cohort team, who we also partner with quite a bit, is trust. I mean, trust is critical. It's really everything. And when you know people and you have a care for them in a way that is personal, it's really beyond just the professional role. It really is a game changer from my perspective.
Wow.
I couldn't agree more.
You know what? And I want to, Leonie, before I let you go, because you have some good questions, and I'm going to just sit and listen. When I saw the trust, the word, the trust that you just used, when you guys were at the retreat, I saw it, but I saw that happening. But when you were sitting down and you remember you had that close group and Montez was, facilitating that leadership game.
Yes.
And the cards that you guys would pull and the different things that you guys would say to each other. That's when I knew that there's a solid relationship here with these people. You guys had just you bonded, you shared insights, and you gave insight to each other, gave concrete feedback, inspiration. I that it was when I'm like, wow, this is this is this is good. This is good. All right, Leonie, off to you.
Oh my God. So I'm telling you, I'm getting choked up. I'm really trying to keep it together because understand that we started this process in 2017. And we always, from the very inception of the white paper to it being presented to the board, we were always about, we need to make sure that people are transformed from the inside out, not the outside in. It's always personal transformation starts from the inside personally as an individual, and the same for the organization. So it warms my heart to hear you guys just really, again, affirm that we accomplished that goal. And so if you recall during the leadership retreat, right, when I took you guys through a visioning exercise, and we are now a year, I think it's a year, we're now into a year since that session, right? And I don't remember what your words you guys selected, but if you recall, we went through the exercise. And so I want to know, how are you feeling? How are things aligning based on what you thought back then? And I want to also know, have you had to pivot since that time? So once, maybe share with people, like, you selected this word, you went to the exercise, again, how are things aligning? How are things aligning for you guys? When you look back, just looking back at that process back then, a year later. It's a year, literally a year. And I told you guys that visioning is like a year. You establish it, and then you have to take these steps, right? You have to know who you are and where you want to go. And the doing, what you're supposed to do, fulfilling your mission, flows out of who you are. It's not the other way around. It's not, I want to do this and I'm going to go do it. No, you got to know who you are. And then the doing, what your assignment is, flows out of that. So talk to us about that process that I took you guys through, or June and I, Montez, and all of us in that room that day.
It's so interesting because just yesterday I was walking in Ventura on the beach with a friend, and she asked me how my work is going. And, there's so much to say whenever anyone, I think, asks that question of anyone, right, who's doing any kind of job. But I felt so just in a moment of joyfulness and response in using the word alignment. So Leonie, that's the word that comes to me often as of late, despite the challenges, despite the sometimes self-criticism or self-doubt. For the most part, I feel aligned just in terms of like my soul's purpose. I don't know how else to describe it. And I also feel like it's my duty, it's my role as a public servant, but also as a leader, to serve my staff. So we're not just serving our clients, which, like, I went into the healing arts for a reason, to serve and to care for people and help heal them in whatever way, but also to really serve those who I support, who do the really hard work, who are on the ground doing the very intense hard work that easily causes burnout. So I feel like my purpose is to really like hold and support them. So I need to do a darn good job of taking care of myself outside of work so that I can show up for others. So I think that's what I stepped into more so than I had been in, I don't know how else to put it, before, from that like visionary board process and all of the other work, of course, and the integration of that work since.
Wow.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing.
You probably see over my shoulder, I have my vision board actually still in my office.
Yes, that's right. I see it.
Going through magazines, looking for photos, looking for inspiration, seeing what other people ideas and how they were going through. So, how we each approached it, both both personally and professionally. So my personal, growth during that time was to increase health. I think through the group that we had several people who were triathletes, long distance bike riders, yoga, a lot of different things. And one of the things I had set personally was to do a 100-mile bike ride. And I know, throughout the whole 8 months, people were, asking me about it. They were encouraging me, giving me tips on how to fuel, how to eat, how to drink. And then October, I completed the Santa Barbara 100, which is one of the hardest century rides in California. And so after I did that, I felt such a sense of accomplishment. And I was like, this is something that I felt like you guys helped propel me to it. June, I know you walk a lot. Shana, I know you like to go on walks a lot. And I just know that it was a personal, goal that I had set back then. And so to date, I have close to 5,000 miles logged, continue to ride weekly. It's been really like kind of my outlet. So to get out there and exercise, and, with COVID, you can't go into gyms. I still play tennis, but they don't let you go in and, hit the weights. And so to get outside, bike sales have gone up. So you'll see a lot of people out there, but the fresh air, being out on the bike paths and the trails, be able to breathe fresh air has been really, really, spiritual and very good for me personally. Professionally, one of the things on my board was to reduce recidivism, to, help with the mental health clientele, to reduce the jail population. And so as COVID comes along, and as you guys know, people in jail and tight-knit places, something that the county, the state, so how do we get, 1,000 people that, are in the jail, and currently it's closer to high 500s, low 600s. So one of my personal goals was to, make sure that mental health people are diverted, to make sure that the jail and the only people that are in jail are, community safety issues. So a lot of that professional aspirations, COVID kind of pushed us, forward, and it said, you're going to do this sooner than later. And I think we've seen a lot of changes through COVID that I think, will stick and will help us, help our officers see other routes rather than incarceration. That's one of the things that Shane and I, we do interact a lot, because we're saying, hey, this person needs help. Jail is not the answer. So we'll send them to Credo 47 or this, the crisis stabilization unit. And so to keep those people in the right services and not in jail, that was kind of a professional thing that back then I didn't think we'd get there so quickly. But COVID definitely helped us look at, now we're doing arraignments by video, we're doing Zoom with our clients, we're reaching them in different spots. So it's definitely created the opportunity for innovation. And so my visions have mostly come true. And so, I'm super thankful for the opportunity. When you're cutting pictures out of magazines, you're kind of like, okay, I'm arts and crafts, let's talk about, leadership and personality traits and that kind of stuff. But looking back, you think, that really was powerful. It was really something that you can, and for me, the board is still in my office. I look at it every day. I don't know how long I probably am due for a new vision board, Leonie. You'll have to vision board 2.0.
I think we should. That's a good idea. We can do it via Zoom, I think.
True. I thank you for both for sharing. I remember I was teasing Katie during the process, because her word, I never forget, it was growth. And then when she assumed the new role in HR, said, "How you like me now?" I'm like, "How you like it?" Because not only is she growing, leaps and bounds in terms of the programs that she's having to manage, right, to lead across, but her programs have countywide impact. And this morning I watched the virtual fair is happening this week. And I watched the first video because I wanted the raffle. I wanted to enter in the raffle. So I watched Maria Elena's welcome video, and I'm looking at all the virtual spaces, like all the stuff that's in this space. And I go, again, we thought something like that would be impossible, right? You talk about this a year ago. They're like, no, that's crazy. How are we going to do it? We're doing it, right? We're doing it. It's flowing out of who we are. And that's why I believe so much in the human spirit, because we feel like we can't in the moment, especially when there's a crisis. And you'll be surprised how innovative, right? That's what we're seeing now. how diverse we are as a county and how innovative, right, we've become and resilient. So my next question would be, what are you both most proud of as a result of having gone through the leadership certificate program?
I'll go first. That way I can steal. Shana won't steal my ideas. So, the thing I'm most proud of is being with you four right here. I wish the other 11 or the other 10 were with us, because I'm so proud of the relationships that we built. So proud of what we overcame during the the challenges. We had we ate lunch every day together during the program. We bonded. We talked about our trials and tribulations, our families. So I'm most proud of just being able to get through it, be part of the first cohort to kind of help you guys. It wasn't perfect, there's obviously you guys were all along saying, give us feedback. What do you guys need more of? And so to be able to kind of help guide that process going forward and to be part of the, if we can be mentors in the future or if we can help other people. I personally believe, we have leadership at all levels in our department. And so, and I know you guys have been offering supervisor classes, line level classes. So for me, that's what I'm most proud of, is being able to be the first cohort, being able to take what I know and be able to pass it on, and then have these relationships with all of you it's really been my proudest moment.
Thank you.
We agree.
I'm going to try not to steal what Spencer said, but I think there's so much to say in terms of what I feel proud about. I generally just feel proud that I feel really honored, more than proud maybe. I'm honored to have been a part of LCP. It was definitely really humbling, and I just really greatly appreciate having been able to experience what we did, because it's not just an isolated past experience, similar to what you were just describing, Spencer. Like, it, to me, even if I don't see every one of our, cohort colleagues on any regular basis, and June, we so appreciate you having the regular check-ins through Zoom. You and Paul and I, for instance, jumped on the other day, just, it was scheduled, but it was spontaneous, and being able to talk about, the budget and how COVID has impacted, the fiscal, department situations, so forth. But I guess I'm just proud and honored to know all of you whom I was able to work with for an 8-month period outside of my regular job, and know that there are leaders in the other departments that we can reach out to and rely on. And there's just a greater sense of support and belonging to the county, to the community, to the larger county work effort, in knowing others in other departments and understanding what different departments do that are, we all have really important teams, that do really important work in our community. So I think just having a more expansive perspective is what I'm most grateful for.
Thank you for that. And you know what, before Leonie goes to her next question, you said something that ties in with one of the frameworks that we have in OTD, because Leonie noticed she talked about a sense of belonging to the grander scheme of things. It's where a county, there's serving the community there. You talk about serving your staff. We're serving each other, and just having it is kind of special when you have a sense of belonging and a purpose and the alignment. And I think for me, when those things exist, even when you're going through the tough times, like you gave some examples of, you're still like, no, but I'm still where I need to be. I'm still where I need to be. And it makes it even, it just makes it more worthwhile. And, really appreciate your comments there too, as well, Spencer. One of the things that I remember with you, and I was going through something and I came across your picture and the diagram of the coffee, and so Spencer, I've been drinking coffee a lot more. And I want to tell you, I go to the daily grind, and I had the mix it. They have this Mexican coffee, but I have it with oat and Sumatra, and so I'm like, Spencer would be proud.
I know little do people know that we have a connoisseur here of coffee. It has raised the bar for coffee for me.
No, he did. Absolutely. I'm just like, I had no clue. And so, yeah, so just the special things, the unique things, but it may seem silly, just like Spencer said, cutting out papers, but once you look back and look at the grander scheme and how everything fits together, it just fits, it makes sense. Leonie?
Yeah, so my last question for us, so thank you both for sharing, is what recommendations, if any, do you have for us about the future direction of the LCP program?
I think I would recommend that it be a year program if the resources allow. I really think while we thought it was going to be shorter than it was, I was grateful for it, being extended for the reasons that it was. It just gave us more chance to, get to know everyone and to work on our projects for presenting to the board. I think if there would be any opportunity to meet the Board of Supervisors in a Q&A kind of forum, that might be something to consider. I also think that experiential learning for any type of learning, from my perspective, is really effective. And so for leadership development, you can read books, right? There are many books to read. There's great value in reading books on leadership. But as I think we all know, as leaders, it's like a constant learning curve. There's never really a plateau, I think, with leadership development. And so having more maybe hands-on, role-playing, experiential types of trainings would be really, I think, just useful to add into the curriculum. So those are just a few things that come to mind. Otherwise, I think the program was exceptional. And having Maria Elena from HR be available to present and to share her own leadership experiences over the years, and to talk about the vision of the Department of HR for the County of Santa Barbara was really useful as well, and really much appreciated. Her leadership is inspiring, and I know that you both work closely with her and the HR team. And so to get to know the HR team would be also really great, even more of the HR team for those who are part of the LCP program.
And, Shana, throughout the whole conversation, I hear the word relationships. So I definitely see why a longer program will not only establish it, but strengthen and deepen those relationships, right? And one question, I follow-up question I want to ask, when you talk about role playing, because during one of our sessions, Maria Elena actually had recommended that we do a mobilization of talent, meaning have people spend, and June can probably speak a little bit more to this, have people or participants spend some time, for example, in HR to better understand, what HR is all about, and that was not well received. Okay, so in the spirit of transparency, I will say that. So perhaps I want to hear from your perspective, when you say role playing, what does that really look like?
So of course, I think I come from, a perspective of having, received my own clinical training, and there's quite a bit of role playing involved in learning how to do psychotherapy, for instance.
Right.
And so when I provide clinical supervision to staff who are serving clients, sometimes we'll role play, right? Where I am the client or I am the therapist and they're the client or the therapist, and we're able to kind of take on that other person and build empathy and understand just different techniques or practice different techniques in terms of how to listen. Listening skills are, I think, essential I know are essential in any role, but especially in leadership. We really do need to step back, breathe, get present, and really listen to those we are supporting and supervising. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
No,
a
it does.
way in which there's
Yes.
experiential training opportunities.
It makes sense. It's almost like a practicum in a way, but that actually makes sense in terms of the reverse role. So put me in a position of a leadership, give me a challenge and let me solve. Then put me in the position of, you know, the person who's reporting to me. So that really makes sense. So thank you for that response. Thank you. Spencer,
Yeah.
I will give you your time. Thanks, Shana.
Yeah, I echo what Shana said. I also think that having the different department heads present was really, it was a great opportunity to hear from the leadership at each of their departments. One thing I think, that I wanted more of during the program was when we met with UCSB and talked about our leadership qualities, inventories. I know you guys pushed a lot of it, some of it was condensed. And I believe at the beginning, she said, well, normally I take a 3-day training or a 4-day training and we're going to do it in 4 hours. So that left me wanting more because it was a real personalized inventory where you had somebody looking at how, how you can develop in each of those areas and your strengths. And I think that was something that you don't get in normal classes where you meet with a professional that looks at your inventory and really guides you on how you can improve in each area. The coaching part of it, I mentioned that earlier, that was something that was a unique experience. And, picking our coaches, interviewing our coaches, and then having that extra outside, almost like a therapist or a confidant, where you could talk to them about struggles that you were going through and talk about your personal goals. I really appreciated that. I know we had, I think, 6 sessions. I wanted 6 more. I reached out to her recently, June, when we were talking about the change leadership, change management. And she left it open. She said, if you wanted to contact me, email me. So I shot her an email and said, help me out with some change leadership, change management. She sent me a white paper. She sent me some resources. She sent me some list of books to purchase. So, that having that extra outside source of coaching was something that I found valuable. I can't speak for everyone, but I know we each were talking about our coaches and who did you select and why did you select them? And, it was very empowering to be able to select somebody to help us develop ourselves. And the only thing that I found that could be changed or would make the program better throughout the program, some of the dates were changed. And so what I felt like when we were a team, when all 12 of us were present, I learned from each person. And I know it's impossible to schedule all 12 people's schedules to make sure that they align perfectly. And some people got sick and some people missed. But the occasions where some people were missing, I felt bad for them for missing some of the details, some of the they say, what happened last class? And it was too hard to tell them what we experienced. So in order to, I know Shana says make it longer. Yeah. For me, I think making it to where, if it's longer, but make sure that the days are structured to where everyone can make it. Because I really think there's value in that, keeping that team together. And so that was kind of the only thing that I was bummed, when so-and-so, if Katie didn't show up or Shana didn't show up, I'd be concerned about them. Why aren't they here? We text them and say, what's going on? So that was kind of my thing, was just making sure that we have schedules that align, that our leadership makes sure that it's a priority for us. I know several times, somebody had to go to do a presentation. And so we understood, but it was just been nice to have everyone together every time.
It's that synergy. It's that June and her synergy again. It's that synergy.
Love it.
Yeah, 6 months condensed with really specific dates that all could agree to committing to, and ideally would be great. But yeah, easier said than done. I get that.
No, and you guys provided that feedback before, and you're providing it now. And in planning for the one that we did, we took all that definitely into consideration. Even with the supervisor boot camp, I asked for that same type of commitment, giving people the dates and saying, hey, we're moving through as a cohort, need you to commit to such and such a time, so you're right. There is a value, there's a value in it that is hard to explain to people. And especially when the synergy is taking place and that connection, it's hard to explain. It's not black and white, but it's palpable, and it's hard to explain, but it's so important. It's so important.
All right, great. So those are my questions for our LCP graduates. And I'll let you close this out, June.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for all the things that you shared. It's October. We have November, December. And for me, as we're getting ready to sort of close out this year because it's in December.
It hasn't started yet. 2020, I want to do over.
Yeah, as we get ready to close out.
Yeah, let's keep moving it forward. Keep moving it forward.
This discussion here is really inspiring, and it keeps us moving forward in terms of what we do, the vision of our team. And I know what Maria Elena has for the organization, and even up to the CEO's office in terms of what they want to do in terms of retaining talent within the organization. And so this helps to do that. And so I just really appreciate your candid feedback. So if you had one parting word for us, one parting word, I don't know, maybe it's vision, maybe it's alignment, one parting word, what would that be? As you look to 2021, what would that be? On the spot. Either one of you can go first.
I hate to use the same word, but I believe it continues to be inspiration. Continue to inspire others to change, continue to inspire others to take on the leadership program. A lot of people don't want to because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, but those, moving forward, we are the future. Those who are we have more new hires right now coming in. How do we inspire them to, embrace all the change, embrace the innovation, embrace the movement that we're happening, one county, one future. For me, it's just to continue to inspire. And so that's my word for the day.
That honestly is the same word that came to mind for me as well. And I mean, Leonie, you and June, you are both incredibly inspiring. And I aspire to be inspiring and to empower my team members to feel inspired, at a time that's really disillusioning and discouraging. So how can we keep our spirits lifted and our minds looking ahead? I think that's a great challenge, and we cannot do that in isolation. We need to remain connected and hopeful together, and being able to talk about the full spectrum. So I remain inspired to inspire and hope I can continue to do that.
I love that.
Love that. Remain inspired to inspire. Love that. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, really, really appreciate you too. And of course, we'll be in touch.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you, Spencer. Take care.
Okay, then take care now.
Wow.
Thank you for listening to the interview portion of our program. Up next, we will take a deeper dive into the topics covered and also provide some news and updates.
Wow, it was a great I'm left feeling very inspired.
Oh my God.
I'm left feeling really, really inspired about this conversation. I don't know what your key takeaways are, but throughout the whole conversation, that word relationship kept coming up, and partnership and collaboration and networking and breaking down the silos. And I don't know if you would agree with me, but I felt like our goal, one of our goals was accomplished.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
I mean,
Hey, wait, high five. Whoa, stop.
high five. I mean, who wants to do life by themselves? Just hearing of the stories the great examples that they've shared. And I know Marilyn is going to really also feel proud, and the CEO and all the leadership across this county who
Right.
partnered with us and said, you know what, guys, we don't know what we're signing up for as champions, but we're going to try. And they trusted us. They invested time and resources and insight, right? And the very presence of their leadership to support this program from the very beginning all the way throughout the graduation and beyond, right? And
Right.
so that's the word. I think that's my inspirational word for today, is to really seize the opportunity to build relationship, because it makes a difference. It really does.
Yes, and I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you. Then there's just so many things going through my mind right now. I'm just like, wow. But we can say, listen to this, right?
Mhm.
And I know you get this. We can say we had this many people go through the program. We spend this much money. We did this. We did this. We did that. But the type of connection and relationship you can't put a figure on. These are the type of things that are so intangible, and that when she talked about a sense of belonging,
Yes,
you can't put a price tag on it. You can't count that. It's immeasurable. You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? And
Absolutely.
and those are the things that I think the leaders and those who've invested, our board of supervisors and our leaders and everyone, I think that's ultimately what they wanted. Was, again, if we're going to retain top talent, then we're creating an environment and an experience
Yes, yes,
to
yes.
do that. And I just but there was just so many things that they mentioned this morning that I thought was just so awesome, and it fits in with the conversation because, as you know, the Becoming a Supervisor program, those who have watched Mona's video cast really enjoyed, and her focus on collaboration. And this, again, this embodies the very thing aspect of what she's talking about: the ability to do strategic thinking, the ability to align all these things, these transformative behaviors. If you listen to this discussion, everything that they have inspired and want to transpire has actually manifested
Yes.
um, throughout this process. And
Absolutely. And it takes, to some it's 12. That's not, it is the small steps that we take that produces the big impact,
Mhm.
right? Because we have 12 who would then go in their departments, right? And inspire others, right? I read a quote from one of your favorite author and speaker, Craig Groeschel. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, people may admire you for your strengths, but they connect with you through your weakness. And I actually took out the word weakness and I said, they connect with you through your transparency. It's by you being transparent, right? I'll build a relationship with you if I know I can trust you. And that is what I heard from the group this morning. Not only did they connect and build synergy in that relationship, but trust came out of that,
Yeah,
right?
wow.
I mean, going through COVID-19, come on, we've had our weak moments, moments when we felt like we were going to crash and burn. And the ability to call someone up and say, hey, this is what's going on. As a leader, I need to be refueled, right? So I can then fuel and inspire my team. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it just warms my heart to hear how this program. And thank you so much, June, for all the time and the dedication that you spend in really building this program from the ground up. I mean, we've heard it, people. We've heard it. It's working. And we look forward to the next program and the next program so we can continue to not only build the next generation of leaders, but to retain them so they can also build the next and the next. And
And
it's
so,
that
and
keeps giving.
inspire and continue to inspire.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely. This was a great way to start this week.
Yes.
This was a great way to start this week. So, do you have anything you want to highlight? Anything coming up that you want to highlight? Any programs that you want our county to know about? Because you're involved in so many different things. And I know you have several irons in the fire. Do you want to take an iron out and talk about it?
I actually do want to take one of my irons out this morning. Thank you for the opportunity. One, the California State University Northridge program, the CSUN program. I'm calling all of my lifelong learners who've been thinking about, going back to graduate school or even, pursue an undergraduate degree. I'm calling you forward to step forward. We have this opportunity here at the County of Santa Barbara for you to partner with CSUN Northridge. We will have an on-site program here at the EU, the Employees University in Goleta. We also have opportunity for the MPH online and the BA online. And so one of the exciting part of this too is that we're going to open this program up to the entire county, starting with our partner organizations, all of our government agencies here in the county of Santa Barbara. So I'll be reaching out to folks in Goleta and Carpinteria and the surrounding area to really invite those employees and community members to participate in this program. We're actually looking for 22 to 28 participants. Okay. And we're going to push it this month. So I'm calling you to say, hey, come step forward and let's help you to pursue your graduate or undergraduate degree right here on site, the County of Santa Barbara. So you don't even have to go very far. I mean, an MPA or an MPH, we're here to support you. So that's the one program. I'll tell them more about the other program. Okay. What I want you to probably share with them is who are the next guests. I'm so excited about who we get to talk to next. So maybe you want to talk about the next guest.
Well, we have some upcoming guests. We do. One will be the director of our OEM, which with Kelly Hubbard, who we will be interviewing. Because keep in mind that November and December is the anniversary of the Thomas Fire and different things, and we're going to January and everything like that. And then we're also going into what is considered the fire season, although we know there's really no clear, distinct fire season anymore. Yeah. So just talking in terms of reflecting on some of those issues and where we've been, where we are, and moving forward. So talking to Kelly as they are taking things to really, I think, strengthen and enhance our ability to respond in these, if it's even possible to, what I'm saying, to respond to crisis in this way. Mm-hmm. But then we also have one of the Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Williams, who's also going to be joining us. And again, when I invited him, the focus is going to be about, again, where we were, where we are, and where we're going in light of the Thomas Fire and the mudslide and how we're navigating that and looking towards the future. And so I am excited about that. And of course, we also have our CEO who's coming up again in December. We're keeping her for the end of the year because so much has happened this year. And so definitely want to hear from her as we wrap up the year and then look forward to the future. So those are some of the guests that we have on tap, at least those that I have nailed down. We have some others that I'm still working on, but those are the ones that I have nailed down. So then just want a quick shout out for our supervisor boot camp is really going really awesome. The participants are just really awesome. They are. And so we don't have time to go into it, but they're awesome. And then we also have the management development program that's starting at the beginning of November 3rd. So I think we only need about 3 more people for that. And then we'll close that and then just go through that. And then because of the response from the becoming a supervisor and for the supervisor boot camp, I am looking at offering something in the spring. We just have to because the demand is there. So we'll be coming out with dates soon to be able to get that going. So just really excited.
Why we have so many, you know what? We always encourage our listeners to refer them now that we have the Monday Morning Connect. Mm-hmm. Actually going out countywide. So there's where they'll find all of this wonderful information in detail. And also maybe the last plug would be that it's October, it's Cybersecurity Month. Please complete your training so we can meet our deadline of January 2021. But you know, Dr. Leone's going to want you to get it done this year before we go off into the holiday season. So I just want to encourage everyone, please do me a favor and complete your cybersecurity training.
Okay. And if you guys have any ideas for the COSB 360 podcast, and if you have any ideas for us in terms of our MMC, because I did get one that we need to follow up on, but any articles that you would like to recommend, please reach out to us and let us know. We're happy to hear from you. Great. All right. Thanks, Leonie. Another great job, another great interview. It was so inspiring. Have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the COSB 360 Conversations podcast, the platform for county influencers. We welcome your thoughts and feedback, so if you have any questions for today's guest, or if you have any recommendation for future topics and guests, please contact our co-host. We consider all county employees to be influencers, so if you're working on an initiative or a program that has a positive impact in our county, please contact us with your idea.